Many foreigners believe that dating in the Philippines is easy. They think Filipinas are naturally loving, devoted, and eager to be in relationships with foreign men. But is that the full story? Or are there hidden challenges that many fail to see? Today, we're going to explore the expectations versus reality of dating in the Philippines, so you know exactly what to expect before making any big decisions. A foreigner arrives in the Philippines, and almost immediately, he feels like he has stepped into a different world. Everywhere he goes, people are smiling, friendly, and welcoming. Women seem genuinely interested in talking to him, unlike in his home country, where dating always felt like a challenge. Here, it feels effortless. Within a few days, he meets a Filipina who is sweet, affectionate, and completely devoted to making him happy. She calls him love after only a few conversations, checks on him constantly, and makes sure he is comfortable and cared for. She holds his hand in public, introduces him to her friends, and proudly shows him off as her boyfriend. It feels like the dream he has been waiting for. Unlike back home, where relationships seemed full of complications, rules, and mind games, here everything seems simple. There is no guessing about how she feels, she tells him and shows him every day. She prepares food for him, messages him every morning, and always wants to be by his side. He starts to think, maybe this is what I've been missing all along. Maybe love really is easier in the Philippines. As the days pass, the relationship deepens. She is always available, always showing affection, always making sure he knows how much she loves him. If he has a bad day, she comforts him. If he feels lonely, she is there to remind him that he is important. He begins to think that dating in the Philippines really is easier than anywhere else. He starts to believe that love here is different, more sincere, more pure, more committed. In his mind, he has found the perfect relationship. But as time goes on, reality starts to reveal itself. He notices small things that he didn't see in the beginning. She starts asking more questions: where he is going, who he is with, what time he will be home. At first, he thinks it is sweet, just a sign that she cares. But as time passes, the questions become more frequent. If he does not reply to her messages right away, she gets upset. If he mentions talking to another woman, even just a waitress or a store clerk, she wants to know everything about it. What started as affection now begins to feel like control. Then, there's her family. He already knew that family was important in the Philippines, but now he starts to see just how much influence they have in her life. She talks to her parents every day. Her siblings know everything about their relationship. They start asking about their future: when will they get married? What are his plans? Her mother casually mentions how much she hopes he will take good care of her daughter. He starts to feel like his relationship is not just between two people but includes her entire family. Financial expectations also start to appear. At first, she never asked for anything, and he admired how independent she seemed. But slowly, things change. She starts talking about her family struggles, how her younger sibling might have to drop out of school, how her parents have medical bills, how life is just difficult sometimes. She never directly asked him for money, but she hopes he will offer. And because he loves her, he does. At first, it is just a little help, something small. But then, another request comes. And another. Before he realizes it, he has taken on financial responsibilities that he never planned for. He starts to feel the weight of expectations. If he tries to say no, she looks sad and disappointed. If he hesitates, she questions whether he still loves her. If he brings up the topic of money, she reassures him that she is not with him for financial reasons, but the hints continue. The carefree relationship that once felt like a dream now feels different. He still loves her, but he also feels pressure to be more than just a boyfriend. He feels like he is expected to be a provider. For some foreigners, this realization comes too late. They have already made big commitments, moving in together, sharing finances, or even getting married. In the Philippines, marriage is a serious commitment, and divorce is not an option. Some foreigners who marry too quickly find themselves feeling trapped, realizing that they entered a lifelong bond without fully understanding what it meant. They thought that marriage would make their relationship stronger, but instead, they find themselves dealing with unexpected pressures. Some men choose to stay in relationships even when they are unhappy because they feel guilty about leaving. They do not want to abandon their Filipina, especially if they have children together. They feel obligated to continue providing support, even when they are emotionally drained. Others try to set boundaries, but when they do, their Filipina might take it personally, thinking that he does not love her as much as before. But not all relationships end this way. Some foreigners take their time. They observe, they ask questions, they talk about important topics early in the relationship. They discuss finances, family expectations, personal space, and future plans. They do not let emotions blind them to the reality of cultural differences. They understand that love is not just about the honeymoon phase, it is about how two people grow together over time. The foreigners who succeed in relationships with Filipinas are the ones who approach love with both heart and mind. They respect her culture but also make sure their own boundaries are respected. They do not rush into marriage or financial commitments without fully understanding what they are getting into. They build their relationship on communication, not just emotions. So, is dating in the Philippines as easy as people say? The truth is, it depends. It can be a beautiful, loving experience if you understand the culture, set the right expectations, and communicate openly. But if you assume it's all effortless and ignore the realities, you may find yourself facing challenges you never expected. Love in the Philippines is real. Filipinas are some of the most loving and devoted partners in the world. But no love story is perfect. Every relationship requires work, understanding, and mutual respect. If you want a successful relationship with a Filipina, take your time. Do not let emotions alone guide your decisions. Observe, communicate, and most importantly, make sure that both of you are on the same page about what you want in the future. Before you start a relationship in the Philippines, ask yourself, are you truly ready for the reality, or are you just chasing the fantasy? Love here is deep, passionate, and beautiful, but only if you enter it with open eyes and a clear mind. A foreigner arrives in the Philippines and quickly finds himself surrounded by friendly, smiling women who seem genuinely interested in him. Unlike in the West, where dating can feel complicated and uncertain, here, things feel different. A Filipina calls him love after just a few days. She checks on him constantly, and she treats him with a level of care and devotion he has never experienced before. It feels perfect. It feels effortless. He starts to believe that dating in the Philippines is exactly what people say, a paradise for love. Everywhere he goes, he feels welcome. Women smile at him, approach him, and genuinely want to get to know him. Whether he is at a cafe, a mall, or even just walking through the streets, it seems like finding a girlfriend here is easier than he ever imagined. In his home country, dating felt like a game. He had to chase, prove himself, and sometimes, even deal with rejection. But here, it's the opposite. Women seem eager to talk to him, and after just a few dates, they already talk about the future. He quickly meets a Filipina who is unlike anyone he has ever dated before. She is sweet, affectionate, and deeply caring. She asks about his day, prepares food for him, and makes sure he is always comfortable. She calls him every morning to check if he has eaten, and every night to say good night. She makes him feel important, needed, and deeply loved. Unlike the women back home, she does not play games or make him feel uncertain about her feelings. She is direct, expressive, and truly devoted. Within just a few weeks, he feels an emotional connection stronger than any he has ever known. She tells him she loves him, she wants to be with him forever, and she cannot imagine life without him. It feels like everything he ever wanted. He thinks to himself, this is what I've been searching for. Love here is so much easier. He starts imagining a future together. Maybe they will move in soon. Maybe they will get married. Maybe this is the love story he always dreamed of. He begins to tell his friends back home about how wonderful dating is in the Philippines, how the women here are different, more loving, more loyal, and more willing to commit. He believes he has found something truly special. But what he does not realize yet is that love, no matter where you are, always has two sides, the dream and the reality. At first, everything feels effortless because they are still in the honeymoon phase. He sees only the good, her kindness, her affection, her devotion. But as time goes on, things start to change, little by little. At first, he does not notice. Maybe she asks more questions about where he is and who he is with. He thinks it's just because she cares. Then, she wants to spend every moment with him, and if he says he wants some time alone or with his friends, she becomes quiet and distant. If he talks to another woman, even in a completely harmless way, she asks a lot of questions. She starts to get upset if he does not respond to her messages immediately. What once felt like deep love now starts to feel like possessiveness. Then, there is her family. In the Philippines, family is everything, and in many cases, their opinion matters just as much as hers when it comes to relationships. At first, he loves how close she is to her family. It feels heartwarming to see how much they care for each other. But over time, he realizes that her family is not just a small part of her life, it is a big part. She tells her parents everything about their relationship. Her mother or father might ask when they are getting married, when they are going to start a family, and what his plans are for the future. It does not seem like just an innocent question, it feels like pressure. Then, he starts noticing that her family has expectations. Maybe her younger sibling needs help with school. Maybe her parents have medical bills to pay. She never asks directly, but she talks about these things in a way that makes him feel like he should help. At first, he does. He gives a little money to help with something small. She thanks him, tells him how much she appreciates it, and everything feels good again. But then, the requests continue. If he hesitates, she seems disappointed. If he tries to say no, she gets sad. He starts to feel like his role in the relationship is changing. He is not just her boyfriend or her future husband, he is also expected to be a provider. What once felt like a carefree, loving relationship now feels heavier. He still loves her, but he starts to question things. Is this really love, or is he just being seen as a source of financial security? Does she love him for who he is, or for what he can provide? He does not want to think this way, but he cannot ignore the growing feeling that his relationship is more complicated than he originally believed. For some foreigners, this realization comes too late. They are already deeply involved, emotionally, financially, or even legally. Many foreigners marry too quickly, thinking that marriage will only make their relationship stronger. But what they do not realize is that in the Philippines, marriage is almost permanent. Divorce is not an option, and annulments are difficult and expensive. Some foreigners feel trapped in relationships they rushed into without fully understanding what they were getting into. Others start to feel the pressure of constant reassurance. Filipinas are known for their deep love and loyalty, but with that love often comes a strong need for emotional security. She may expect him to always prove his love, to never look at another woman, to always make her feel like she is the most important part of his life. What started as a beautiful romance can sometimes turn into something overwhelming. But not all relationships follow this path. Some foreigners take their time. They observe, they ask questions, they set boundaries early in the relationship. They talk about finances before making any commitments. They discuss family expectations before things get serious. They do not let emotions blind them to the reality of cultural differences. The foreigners who succeed in relationships with Filipinas are the ones who approach love with both their heart and their mind. They respect her culture, but they also make sure their own needs and boundaries are respected. They build a relationship based on open communication, not just on emotions and excitement. So, is dating in the Philippines as easy as it seems? The truth is, it can be, but only if you understand what you are getting into. Love in the Philippines is deep, passionate, and real, but it comes with responsibilities, expectations, and cultural differences that must be understood. If you enter a relationship here thinking that it will be effortless, you may face challenges you never expected. But if you take your time, ask the right questions, and truly understand your Filipina, you may just find a love that is more real and fulfilling than anything you have ever known. Before making any big commitments, ask yourself, do I truly understand what this relationship involves? Have I talked to her about finances, family, and future expectations? Am I making this decision based on reality, or just the excitement of the moment? If your answer is yes, then dating in the Philippines can be one of the most rewarding experiences of your life. But if you have doubts, take your time. True love is never in a hurry. The happiest relationships are those built on trust, understanding, and shared values. If you enter a relationship with both your eyes and heart open, you may just find the love of a lifetime. But as time goes on, reality starts to reveal itself. She asks more questions: where he is, what he's doing, and who he's with. At first, it feels like she just cares about him, but soon, it starts to feel like constant monitoring. She wants to know his schedule, his daily routine, and even the small details of his activities. If he takes too long to reply to her messages, she asks why. If he goes out with friends, she wants to know who is there and what time he will be back. He reassures her at first, thinking it's just her way of showing love, but soon, it starts to feel like she needs constant validation. What seemed like a simple, loving relationship now begins to feel like an obligation. She wants to be with him all the time, and when he says he needs space, she seems hurt or confused. She asks if he still loves her, if he is happy, if something is wrong. At first, he tells himself that this is just how Filipinos are, passionate and devoted. But slowly, he starts to feel like he is losing his freedom. Then, there's her family. In the beginning, he found it sweet how close she was to them. She talked about her mother, father, and siblings with love and admiration. It made him feel like she came from a good, family-oriented background. But as time passes, he realizes that her family is not just important to her, they are deeply involved in her life. She discusses everything with them, from small daily events to serious relationship matters. If they have an argument, her family knows about it. If he does something she does not like, her siblings might subtly mention it when they see him. Soon, financial concerns start creeping into their conversations. She starts mentioning how her family is struggling, how life is hard, and how they barely have enough to get by. It's never a direct request, but the hints are there. Maybe her younger sibling cannot continue school because they cannot afford the tuition fees. Maybe her parents need medical treatment but do not have the money to pay for it. She does not outright ask for help, but she talks about these problems in a way that makes him feel like he should do something. At first, he does. He gives a little money to help with something small, maybe paying for school supplies or covering a bill. She thanks him, tells him how much she appreciates it, and reassures him that she never expects anything from him. But over time, the requests keep coming. What started as an occasional favor becomes more frequent. Her family starts to see him as someone who can help, and before he realizes it, he is financially supporting not just her, but her entire household. He begins to feel pressure, not just as her boyfriend, but as someone responsible for more than he expected. He still loves her, but the relationship no longer feels as light and carefree as it once did. The excitement of the beginning has been replaced with obligations. He starts to wonder, is this really love, or is he just being seen as a provider? He notices other small things. If he says no to something, she becomes distant. If he refuses to give money, she seems upset but does not say anything. Instead, she becomes quiet, making him feel guilty. When he finally gives in, she brightens up again, telling him how much she loves him. This pattern repeats, and soon, he realizes that money is becoming a bigger part of their relationship than he ever expected. He also notices that her jealousy is getting stronger. At first, it was cute. She asked simple questions, wanted to know about his day, and showed interest in his life. But now, it feels different. If he talks to another woman, even in a completely innocent way, she reacts. She asks who the woman is, why he was talking to her, what they discussed. If he says he's going out without her, she wants details. She questions why he needs time alone, why he wants to spend time with his friends. Slowly, what once felt like love now feels like control. He starts feeling suffocated. He loves her, but he misses his freedom. He misses feeling like he can make decisions without always having to explain himself. He misses the carefree days when the relationship felt simple. He realizes that the reality of dating in the Philippines is not what he imagined. It is not just about romance, it is about expectations, responsibilities, and cultural differences that he was not prepared for. For some foreigners, this realization comes too late. They have already made big commitments, moving in together, sharing finances, or even getting married. In the Philippines, marriage is almost permanent. Divorce does not exist, and annulments are difficult and expensive. Many foreigners who marry too quickly find themselves in situations where they feel trapped. They wanted love, but they did not realize that love here comes with responsibilities that they never considered. Some men try to adjust. They accept that this is part of the culture. They continue to provide for their Filipina and her family, hoping that things will balance out over time. But for others, the pressure becomes too much. They feel like they are being used, like their value in the relationship is based on their ability to provide financial support. They start to resent the expectations, and eventually, they start pulling away. But not all relationships end this way. Some foreigners take their time. They do not rush into love just because it feels good in the beginning. They observe, they ask questions, they talk about finances before making any commitments. They discuss family expectations early, so there are no surprises later. They make sure that their Filipina loves them for who they are, not just for what they can provide. The men who succeed in relationships with Filipinas are the ones who approach love with both heart and mind. They respect her culture, but they also set clear boundaries. They understand that love is not just about emotions, it is about compatibility, trust, and mutual respect. So, what once felt like a dream now feels like something much more complicated. The foreigner realizes that love in the Philippines is real, but it is not always easy. It requires patience, understanding, and a willingness to adapt. It is not just about romantic moments, it is about shared responsibilities and cultural differences that must be respected. Before entering a relationship, a foreigner must ask himself, am I truly prepared for this? Do I understand the expectations that come with dating a Filipina? Have I talked to her about money, family, and our future? If he can answer yes to these questions, then he may find a love that is genuine and fulfilling. But if he has doubts, he should take his time. True love is never rushed. Love in the Philippines can be one of the most beautiful experiences in the world, but only for those who are ready for it. Those who rush in blindly, thinking only of the fantasy, may find themselves facing a reality they never expected. The choice is always in their hands. For some foreigners, the realization comes too late. They rushed into love without truly understanding what it meant. Now, they feel trapped, emotionally, financially, or even legally. Some men marry too soon, only to realize later that their relationship is full of conflicts they never anticipated. But does this mean love in the Philippines isn't real? Not at all. The key to success is understanding the reality before making a commitment. In the beginning, everything felt like a dream. The love, the affection, the way she treated him like he was the most important person in her life, it all seemed perfect. Unlike in his home country, where dating felt like a challenge, here it was easy. She made an effort, she showed love without hesitation, and she made him feel like a king. He believed he had found something rare, something special. He thought, this is real love. But love, no matter where you find it, is more than just feelings. It is more than just sweet words, hugs, and affection. It is also about responsibilities, expectations, and compatibility. Many foreigners, blinded by the excitement of finding a Filipina who adores them, forget to ask themselves the important questions. Do we share the same values? Do we have the same vision for the future? Do I truly understand her culture, her background, and her expectations? Instead of taking their time, they move too fast, letting emotions control their decisions. Then, reality starts to set in. The first signs are small, little misunderstandings, differences in opinions, small disagreements. But soon, those small things grow into bigger issues. One of the biggest challenges that many foreigners face is the deep connection between Filipinas and their families. In Western cultures, relationships are usually focused on the couple. In the Philippines, family plays a major role, sometimes even more than the couple's personal choices. At first, he admired how much she loved her family. He thought it was beautiful, how she supported them, how she always put them first. But soon, he realized that this also meant that their relationship was not just between the two of them, it involved her parents, her siblings, and sometimes even extended relatives. If her family needed financial help, she expected him to understand. If her mother wanted to have a say in their relationship, she expected him to respect that. What he thought was just cultural differences now started to feel like outside pressure. Finances also became a bigger topic than he ever imagined. In the beginning, she never asked for anything. She told him she loved him for who he was, not for what he could provide. But as time went on, little hints started appearing. She mentioned her younger brother struggling with school fees. She talked about how her parents were getting older and had medical bills. She expressed how much she wanted to help them, but she did not have the means. She never directly asked him for money, but the expectation was there. At first, he was happy to help. He loved her, and he wanted to see her happy. So, he gave a little. Then a little more. Then, it became normal. It was no longer about helping once in a while, it became part of their routine. If he hesitated, she looked sad. If he tried to talk about it, she reassured him that she was not with him for money, that she loved him no matter what. But still, the requests did not stop. Some men realize at this point that they have entered something they did not fully understand. They thought they were getting a loving relationship, but now they feel like they are carrying financial responsibility not just for their partner, but for an entire family. The stress starts to build. He begins to wonder if she truly loves him, or if he is just seen as a provider. He does not want to believe that her love is connected to money, but the pressure makes him question everything. And then, there is jealousy. Many Filipinas are incredibly loyal, but they also expect the same level of loyalty in return. At first, it was sweet, she wanted to know where he was, who he was with, what he was doing. It made him feel loved. But as time went on, it became controlling. If he did not reply to her messages right away, she questioned him. If he spent time with friends, she wanted to know why she was not invited. If he even talked to another woman, she asked too many questions. What once felt like devotion now felt like possession. He started feeling like he had to explain everything he did. He felt guilty for wanting time alone. He felt like he had lost his independence. And no matter how much he reassured her, it was never enough. She still had doubts, still needed constant validation. For some foreigners, this is when they start to feel trapped. They love their Filipina, but they also feel like they are losing themselves. If they are married, things become even more complicated. In the Philippines, divorce does not exist. If they want to leave, their only option is an annulment, which is expensive, difficult, and can take years. Some men stay in unhappy marriages simply because leaving is not a realistic option. But does this mean that love in the Philippines isn't real? Not at all. There are many foreigners who are happily married to Filipinas, who have built strong, loving relationships that last a lifetime. The difference between those who succeed and those who struggle is understanding. The foreigners who have happy relationships with Filipinas are the ones who take their time. They do not rush into love just because it feels good in the beginning. They ask the right questions early on. They talk about money before it becomes a problem. They discuss family expectations before they get too deep. They do not let emotions blind them to reality. They go in with open eyes, balancing love with wisdom. A strong relationship with a Filipina is possible, but only if both partners understand each other. Love is not just about romance and passion, it is about shared values, clear communication, and realistic expectations. If a foreigner takes his time to truly know his Filipina, to understand her culture, and to set healthy boundaries, he has a much better chance of building a successful relationship. But those who rush in, believing only in the fantasy of a perfect love, may find themselves facing challenges they never expected. They may wake up one day feeling trapped in a situation they did not fully understand. So, before making a big commitment, every foreigner should ask himself, do I truly understand what I'm getting into? Have we talked about money, family, and expectations? Am I making this decision with a clear mind, or just following emotions? If he can answer these questions honestly, he has a much better chance of finding real happiness. Because love in the Philippines is real, but only for those who are truly ready for it. So, is dating in the Philippines as easy as people say? The truth is, it depends. It can be a beautiful, loving experience if you understand the culture, set the right expectations, and communicate openly. But if you assume it's all effortless and ignore the realities, you may find yourself facing challenges you never expected. Before you start a relationship in the Philippines, ask yourself, are you truly ready for the reality, or are you just chasing the fantasy? Many foreigners come to the Philippines with high expectations. They hear stories about how Filipinas are loving, devoted, and eager to be in relationships with foreign men. They imagine an easy life, free from the complications of dating in the West, where relationships often feel like a constant struggle. They believe that because Filipinas are naturally warm and affectionate, everything will be simple. And at first, it does feel that way. The moment a foreigner arrives in the Philippines, he notices the difference. Women smile at him, they seem genuinely interested in talking, and for once, he doesn't feel like he has to prove himself. He meets a Filipina who treats him like a king. She calls him love. After just a few days, she messages him constantly, making sure he's okay, and she takes care of him in ways he never experienced before. She cooks for him, holds his hand in public, and makes him feel special every single day. It's easy to fall into the belief that dating here is like a fairy tale. But as time goes on, reality starts to show itself. The first signs are small, little things he ignores at first because he's still caught up in the excitement of a new romance. She starts asking more questions about where he is and what he's doing. She wants to know who he's talking to. She becomes upset if he doesn't respond to her messages right away. He tells himself that this is just how love works in the Philippines. Filipinas are devoted, they care deeply, and they want to make sure their partner is always close. Then, her family becomes more involved in their relationship. At first, he enjoys meeting them. They are warm, welcoming, and treat him like part of the family. He thinks it's nice that family values are so strong here. But soon, he starts to realize that their influence is bigger than he expected. They ask questions about their future, hint at marriage, and sometimes, they even give advice on how he should treat her. It starts to feel like his relationship isn't just with her, but with her entire family. Finances also start to play a role. In the beginning, she never asks for anything, and he appreciates how independent she seems. But over time, she starts talking about her family struggles, her younger brother's school fees, her mother's medical bills, the financial hardships they face. She doesn't ask for money directly, but she looks at him with hopeful eyes, waiting for him to offer. At first, he does. He loves her, and he wants to help. It's just a little money, nothing big. But then, the requests continue. What started as an occasional favor becomes more frequent. He starts to feel like he is expected to provide, not just for her, but for her whole family. He starts questioning, does she love him for who he is, or because of what he can give? He doesn't want to think that way, but the pressure makes him feel differently. At the same time, jealousy becomes a problem. Filipinas are deeply loyal, but that loyalty also comes with a strong need for security. She doesn't just want his love, she wants constant reassurance. If he talks to another woman, even in a casual way, she asks questions. If he goes out without her, she becomes distant. If he says he needs time alone, she wonders if he is losing interest. It starts to feel like nothing he does is enough to make her feel secure. For some foreigners, this is when things start to feel different. The relationship, which once felt light and effortless, now feels like it requires constant effort. It's not that he doesn't love her, he does. But he also feels like he has lost a part of his freedom. He starts missing the days when he could do things without explaining himself, when he could make decisions without worrying about how she would react. For those who marry quickly, the situation becomes even more complicated. Many foreigners think that marriage will make everything better, that it will make her feel more secure and solve all problems. But in the Philippines, marriage is permanent. Divorce is not an option. If a foreigner marries a Filipina without fully understanding the reality of what that commitment means, he may find himself in a situation where he feels trapped. If things don't work out, separating is not easy. Some foreigners end up feeling like they are in a relationship they can't escape from. They love their Filipina, but they also feel like they are carrying responsibilities they never agreed to. They start to feel resentment, and slowly, the love that once felt so strong begins to fade. But not every relationship ends this way. Some foreigners take their time. They don't rush into love just because it feels good in the beginning. They ask the important questions early on. They talk about money before it becomes an issue. They discuss family involvement before things get serious. They don't let emotions control their decisions. The foreigners who succeed in relationships with Filipinas are the ones who balance love with wisdom. They respect her culture, but they also set clear boundaries. They understand that love is not just about passion, it's about compatibility, communication, and realistic expectations. So, is dating in the Philippines as easy as people say? The truth is, it can be, but only if you approach it with the right mindset. If you enter a relationship thinking only about the excitement and affection, you may find yourself facing unexpected challenges. But if you take your time, ask the right questions, and truly understand your partner, you may find a love that is deep, real, and lasting. Before making a big commitment, ask yourself, do I fully understand what this relationship involves? Have I discussed finances, family expectations, and long-term plans with her? Am I making this decision with a clear mind, or am I just caught up in the emotions of the moment? If your answer is yes, then dating in the Philippines can be one of the most rewarding experiences of your life. But if you have doubts, take your time. True love is never in a hurry. The strongest relationships are built on trust, understanding, and shared values. If you enter a relationship with both your heart and your mind open, you may just find the love of a lifetime.